Hello students, let us learn some basic concepts regarding a circle. In the first part, we have learned basic concepts about the circle, chord of a circle, its properties, and cyclic quadrilateral. In this part, we are going to learn some basic concepts regarding arc, inscribed angle, intercepted arc, and intersecting chords of a circle. So let us start. The first concept is inscribed angle. We can illustrate this concept by a diagram. Let there be a circle with center C. There is one angle PDQ whose vertex lies on a circle, as we can see. The sides of angle PDQ intersect a circle at point A and point B. So such an angle PDQ is called as inscribed angle. And this angle PDQ, it is said to be inscribed in arc ADB, as point A and point B are the endpoints of arc ADB, and through them the sides of angle passes. So as we can see in the diagram, angle ADB is inscribed in the arc ADB. So this is the first basic concept of inscribed angle. Based on that, there is another concept of intercepted arc. We have some figures over here. So in each of the figure, the arc of a circle that lies in the interior of angle ABC is an arc intercepted by angle ABC. So if we consider the first diagram, here the angle ABC is given, and the sides of angle ABC, that is side AB and side BC, which intersect a circle in two distinct points A and C, which are the endpoints of the minor arc AC. So as we can see, the arc AC lies inside the interior of this angle. That's why arc AC is said to be intercepted arc by angle ABC. Similarly, in the second diagram, we have angle ABC whose one side touches the circle, and here also in the interior of angle ABC, we have a part of a circle, that is arc BC. So in this case also, arc BC is said to be intercepted arc in angle ABC. For the third diagram, as we can see, the vertex of angle ABC lies inside the circle, and here also in the interior of angle ABC we have arc AC. So it is said that arc AC is intercepted in angle ABC. So for first three diagrams, we have only one arc which is intercepted by respective angles. Now for the fourth diagram, we have the vertex of angle ABC in the exterior of the circle. And in this case, as we can see, in the interior of angle ABC, we have two arcs. So for this also, there are two arcs inside the interior of angle ABC. That's why these two arcs are also intercepted arcs by angle ABC. For the fifth diagram, again, one side touches the circle and another intersects the circle in two distinct points. In this case also, there are two arcs in the interior of angle ABC. In this case also, we have two intercepted arcs. For the sixth diagram, the vertex of angle ABC is again in the exterior of a circle, and we have again two arcs which are inside the circle. So here the minor arc AC and the major arc, both of the arcs are in the interior of angle ABC. So here also we have two intercepted arcs. Precisely, if we have to have intercepted arc, each side of angle has to contain an endpoint of the arc. So for all of these diagrams, as we can see, the side of angle contains endpoints of each arc. That's why these arcs which are shown in these diagrams are intercepted arcs. Based on these two concepts, we have inscribed angle theorem. The statement is the measure of an inscribed angle is half of the measure of the arc intercepted by it. So in the diagram, there is a circle with center C. There is angle ADB which is inscribed in arc ADB, and we can see arc AB is intercepted arc by angle ADB. So by the inscribed angle theorem, we have measure of this angle ADB is half of the measure of this intercepted arc. That is, we have angle ADB is equal to half of arc AB. We have one corollary based on inscribed angle theorem. The first is angles inscribed in the same arc are congruent. So in this diagram, as you can see, angle PQR is inscribed in arc PQR. Similarly, angle PSR is also inscribed in the same arc, as the sides of these two angles passes through two endpoints, that is P and R, of arc PQR. So here both of these angles, angle PQR and angle PSR, are inscribed in the same arc. That's why the measure of these two angles are equal. So angles inscribed in the same arc are congruent. Second corollary is angle inscribed in a semicircle is a right angle. So in this diagram, M is the center of the circle and AC is the diameter. And angle ABC, which is inscribed in arc ABC, sides of this angle passes through the end points A and C of arc ABC, which is a semicircle, as AC is a diameter. By this corollary, we have that measure of angle ABC is 90 degree. That means angle inscribed in a semicircle is a right angle. Now we have another concept, cyclic quadrilateral. So in the diagram, as we can see, the vertices of quadrilateral A, B, C, D, all of these vertices lie on the circle. That's why this quadrilateral A, B, C, D is called as a cyclic quadrilateral. Now we have theorem based on a cyclic quadrilateral that the opposite angles of a cyclic quadrilateral are supplementary. In this diagram, quadrilateral A, B, C, D is a cyclic quadrilateral, as all the vertices are on the circle. For this quadrilateral, the opposite angles are supplementary. That means angle A and angle C are supplementary angles. That means measure of angle A plus measure of angle C is equal to 180 degree. Similarly, there is another pair of opposite angles, that is angle B and angle D. So these two angles are also supplementary. That means measure of angle B plus measure of angle D is equal to 180 degree. Now we have converse of the previous theorem, that is converse of cyclic quadrilateral theorem. The theorem is, if a pair of opposite angles of a quadrilateral is supplementary, then the quadrilateral is a cyclic. Suppose there is one quadrilateral given, A, B, C, D. And for this quadrilateral, if measure of angle A plus measure of angle C is equal to 180 degree and measure of angle B plus measure of angle D is also equal to 180 degree, that means if angle A and angle C are supplementary, which are the opposite angles of this quadrilateral, and angle B and angle D are also supplementary, which is another pair of opposite angles of this quadrilateral. So for this quadrilateral, as the pair of opposite angles are supplementary, this quadrilateral is a cyclic quadrilateral. So which is called as the converse of cyclic quadrilateral theorem. Now we have another property. If 2 points on a given line subtend equal angles at 2 distinct points which lie on the same side of the line, then the 4 points are concyclic. Now here we have one term concyclic. That is, the vertices of a cyclic quadrilateral are called as concyclic. That means if we draw a quadrilateral joining these four vertices, that quadrilateral is a cyclic quadrilateral. And in this case, the points are called as concyclic. Now the property is, if two points on a given line subtend equal angle at two distinct points which lie on the same side of the line, then four points are concyclic. So there is one line given, A and D are 2 points given on it. Now these 2 points subtend equal angles, that is angle ABD and angle ACD. As you can see in the diagram, these two angles are given to be congruent, and these 2 points are on the same side of this line. That's why in this case, points A, B, C, D are concyclic. That is, if we draw a quadrilateral joining these 4 points, that quadrilateral is a cyclic quadrilateral. So this is the property based on the cyclic quadrilateral. We have another properties of intersecting chords. Suppose there are two chords given, AB and CD, which intersect at point E, which is in the interior of a circle. So for this one, if we are trying to find the measure of angle AEC, the measure of this angle AEC must be half of measure of arc AC plus measure of arc DB. Arc DB is an intercepted arc by angle DEB, and arc AC is intercepted by angle AEC. So if we have to find the measure of angle AEC, it must be half of sum of the measure of arc which are intercepted by angle AEC and measure of arc intercepted by its opposite angle, that is arc DB. So here angle AEC is equal to half of measure of arc AC plus measure of arc DB. Similarly, if we have to find measure of angle CEB, arc intercepted by this angle is arc BC, and the arc intercepted by its opposite angle is arc AD. So measure of this angle CEB is equal to half of measure of arc BC plus measure of arc AD. Now suppose there are two lines which intersect each other in the exterior of a circle. Line EA intersect a circle at point A, B, and line ED intersect a circle at point C and D. These two lines intersect each other at point E, which is in the exterior of a circle. So if it is so, and if we have to find the measure of angle BED, it must be half of the difference of these two arcs. That is, 1/2 measure of arc BD minus measure of arc AC. So we can find the measure of angle BED, that is equal to half of measure of arc BD minus measure of arc AC. So we can find the measure of angle BED, which is equal to half of the difference of arcs intercepted by the angle. That is, these two arc AC and arc B are intercepted by angle BED. So if we take the difference, that is measure of arc BD minus measure of arc AC, and if we take half of it will be the measure of angle BED. There is another theorem of angle between tangent and secant. So as we can see in the diagram, there is a tangent CE and there is a secant BA. So these two, this tangent and secant, intersect each other at point B, and the angle formed is angle ABC. So for this one, the measure of angle ABC is equal to half of the measure of arc intercepted by it. That is, arc ADB is intercepted by angle ABC. That's why measure of angle ABC is equal to half of measure of arc ADB. So the statement is, if an angle has a vertex on a circle, one side touches the circle and the other intersect the circle in one or more point, then the measure of the angle is half of the measure of its intercepted arc. So here, as we can see, the vertex of angle ABC is on the circle. For angle ABC, one side touches the circle and another side intersect the circle. So by this theorem, we have measure of angle ABC is half of measure of its intercepted arc. That is, measure of angle ABC is equal to half of measure of arc ADB. We have another theorem. Let us try to understand this. So this is the circle where AB is a secant and BC is a tangent. Arc ADB is intercepted by angle ABC, and chord AB divides the circle in two parts, that is arc ADB and arc ATB. So for this one, if we take any point T on the arc opposite to arc ADB, we have the theorem that the measure of angle ABC is equal to half of measure of arc ADB, as this arc ADB is intercepted by angle ABC. Similarly, the same arc ADB is intercepted by angle ATB. That's why measure of this angle is also half of measure of arc ADB by inscribed angle theorem. So as measures of both of these two angles is equal to half of measure of arc ADB, we have these two angles congruent. That is, angle ABC is congruent to angle ATB, which is equal to half of measure of arc ADB. Now we have theorem of internal division of chords. Suppose two chords are there, AB and CD, which intersect each other at point E inside the circle. So if this is the case, then due to point E, arc AB is divided into two parts, AE and BE. CD is divided into two parts, CE and ED. So if it is the case, then we have AE into BE, that is two parts of arc AB. AE into BE is equal to CE into ED. So this property is known as theorem of chords intersecting inside the circle. Now there is another property for which chords intersecting outside the circle. So as we can see in the diagram, chord AB and chord CD, if we extend them, we can see they intersect at point E, which is in the exterior of a circle. So if it is the case, then also we have two parts. Starting from point E, we get the first part EB and EA, and the second part for chord CD is ED and EC. So for this diagram, we have EB into EA is equal to ED into EC. So this property is known as theorem of chords intersecting outside the circle. There is another theorem, tangent secant segment theorem. So as we can see the diagram, there is one tangent and one secant, that is ET is the tangent to a circle as it touches at point T, and EB is a secant which intersect the circle at point A and B. So for this one, ET is a tangent segment. So its square, it is ET square, is equal to EA into EB. So EA into EB is equal to ET square. This property is known as tangent secant segments theorem.